have the street signs with the peacocks on them. And I called downtown and I found out that they put those street signs together as they have time. And I said, how do you determine where they go? And he said, well, we start downtown and we work out. And I said, well, why don't we start at the perimeter and work back sometime? Okay, so I think I get the gist of the question, and that's my attitude in terms of how I would deal with it.
I have no rebuttal.
Your turn, Carolyn.
I went first, so I think.
We'll just let our moderator tell us.
Go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay. Sorry.
First of all, Park Avenue and the Central Business District is vital to this town. And I think whether you're a resident that lives off Lee Road or whether you happen to live on Palmer, you understand that. Because that's what sets the value of your home. That's what makes us a community of distinction. So of course we have to take care of Park Avenue. But I'm proud to tell you that I have endorsements from businesses along Lee Road. I have supporters along Fairbanks. I have businesses along Orange Avenue because I go and I listen to their concerns and I help them with their issues. So I understand Winter Park is bigger, but a little bit unlike Pete, I think we do have to give special attention to Park Avenue because quite frankly, your property, no matter how far away you live, would not be worth as much if you did not live near Park Avenue. So for me, it's not one or the other. It's one and the other. And I worked very hard to make sure you have the strongest notification laws of most any city around. You receive city notices about things that are getting ready to happen. I spend hundreds of hours researching data and putting together emails so that I can send them to you so you know what's going on. I try to teach people about the website and what's available. I want to empower you, regardless of where you live, to be part of the government. Thank you.
So Carolyn and I actually agree on this. I was past president of Park Avenue Merchants Association. I'm still the current vice president, so obviously Park Avenue is very important to me. But you know, it's not the only place that's important. All of Winter Park is important. And I think the question asked about residents too. It didn't just ask about businesses. Is that correct?
Recognizing how important Park Avenue and a thriving business community are to our city, what measures will you take to ensure that the voices of all citizens receive equal weight, even if they don't own or operate a brand?
Okay, so all citizens, not business owners, and not, yeah. So as I'm walking, that's actually how I twisted my ankle and sprained it. That's why I'm wearing tennis shoes. But you know, there are a lot of concerns. People living all around Winter Park, and although we do send out notices, the city does. You know, there is still a lack of community involvement. You know, there are places that want sidewalks, communities, neighborhoods in Winter Park that don't have sidewalks, that want them. They don't have adequate street lights. So how do we get those comments in? You know, not everyone can make a commission meeting on a Monday at 3:30. They can't. There's people who can't. So what can we do? And Craig, I'd love to get with Craig and Clarissa on, you know, additional communication measures and hearing that from the people in Winter Park, because there is a lack right now. There is a lack, and their voices are not being heard. Thank you.
Can I read that?
I just want to speak on behalf of our communications department. We have an amazing outreach to the community. Amazing. You get e-blast constantly. You can get text. We have Facebook. We open the microphone every commission meeting for you to come and talk about things that are not on the agenda. This city goes way above and beyond with the number of meetings we have, with the number of notifications. You can be proud to be here and proud of our communications department. Thank you.
No, they do a fantastic job. Do I not get to rebut?
No. Sorry. Okay. What are 2 to 3 of your main concerns regarding Winter Park that you feel need more attention because of a lack of urgency now? We'll start with you, Lynn. Because of a lack of urgency now. What are 2 to 3 of your main concerns regarding Winter Park that you feel need more attention because of a lack of urgency now?
I'll just answer the first part of the question, not about not lack of urgency, but crime. I think crime is something that everyone in our community is worried about. You know, we just had a shooting a couple nights ago. 2 people died in our community. But there's things we can do proactively that haven't really been done yet. Police decoy cars. You know, I live off Glen Ridge and Winter Park Road and Shelton Circle. We've had lots of burglaries in that neighborhood, and after about a string of 6, we had a police decoy car parked around it. It was moved around the neighborhood, and we haven't had burglaries since then. It works. Workforce housing. I know my opponent voted against including that in the affordable housing ordinance in August and September, but workforce housing would enable our police officers to live in our community. We have CRA funds where we could help sponsor that. So workforce housing, it would be wonderful to have police officers living in our community to be that extra set of eyes and ears for us. And I got the sign.
You asked which pieces of infrastructure I thought needed more attention because they are not high visibility today. That's the way I understand the question. My answer to that would be I would like to see more connectivity with Sunrail. I want it to be something that the community can use without having to worry about parking. I would like to see a circulator bus that goes from Winter Park Village to Park Avenue to New England Avenue. I would like to see zoning put in place so that when we develop New England Avenue, it has retail on the first floor so that our guests will want to walk to New England Avenue. I want the retail in Hannibal Square to survive. And if we have residential from the first floor to the top, it's going to be more difficult for the retail. I would also very much like to see police in our neighborhoods. I'm opposed to workforce affordable housing because it means wood frame, high density apartments. Winter Park doesn't need any more of that. I would rather incentivize our police officers through housing allowances so that they can participate in market rate housing.
That's good. Yeah. Okay, and we'll go to Tom.
I share the concern about our police department, and part of that concern is in this last budget cycle, I made the motion to unfreeze 2 of the police positions. Fortunately, that passed. Unfortunately, it passed 3-2, which said a lot about the people that voted against it. Being a landscape architect, I think one of the things, while not urgent, but certainly has been overlooked because of our budget situation over the last few years, has been our capital improvement programs for our parks. And like Parks says, it all starts in parks, and they need improvement. It's not they don't have the urgency of police or fire or roadways or sewer. But parks are where our children play, parks are where we recreate, and I really believe that going forward we need to be investing more in our park system. I'm sure there are lots of projects that I would support. But I think from the standpoint of what is urgent, I have kind of 3 things. One is I think we have to make a larger commitment to electric undergrounding so that there's no risk that it won't be complete. That's key to the strategic future of Winter Park in my mind. And following that up with the reforestation of our street trees, those 2 programs need to be prioritized. And we have to have a long-term commitment to make those things happen as soon as possible. The other thing I would say is urgent in my mind is that we've had a very strong financial recovery, and the city's tax base has grown substantially, and while the millage rate has remained constant, our tax collections have gone up almost $4 million a year in the past several years. And I think we need to do a better job of planning how we use that money.
It's not a rebuttal, but it's just an add-on. The last two budget sessions, I presented motions that were passed to add an additional $100,000 a year to our reforestation program. And as a landscape architect, that one's near and dear to my heart. We are moving forward. We're also on schedule with our electric, and it's a complicated process. And we have laid out a long-term program to get all our undergrounding taken care of, and we met our obligations every year for that.
Okay, if the library bond referendum passes, we know where the money will come from for the library. If the referendum fails, given that our library has a pressing need for renovation and space, how will you address the many deficiencies in the current building, and where would that money come from? So I think it's your turn.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I touched on, I think, when I answered the question about the referendum, and that is that if the referendum should not pass, I will support the library interest in the city to make sure that we address our needs to renovate this building, or there may be other alternatives. Obviously, we have a unique resource in controlling what happens to our own library. Not being part of the Orange County Library System is an asset to Winter Park. And should the library referendum not pass, I will be a supporter of reinvesting in the library through other means.
I think it was mentioned earlier that redoing this library is somewhere in the neighborhood of a $13 million proposition. And those are dollars that we do not currently have allocated toward anything in our budget. So that would most likely either have to come back as a bond issue if we wanted to do it all at one time, or be prorated over a number of years to continue to reinvest in this building. And that's really why I'm hoping that the bond issue does pass, so that we don't have to go through that.
I think it's Lambrini's turn, I think.
Yes, what Tom said. But also, this current building, it isn't safe. God forbid someone has a heart attack upstairs, you can't even fit a gurney up to get them out. So there's so many constraints in this building. So we would have to do another, I think, bond referendum, because I think just to do, again, this building, just to renovate it, would be $13 million. And like Tom said, we don't have the money to do that now. So I would see probably another bond referendum.
I absolutely would support doing whatever we needed to do, whether we determined that it was renovation, or if we wanted to build new on this site. If that bond referendum were to fail, I am 100% behind this library. I have 5 children. 3 of them grew up learning responsibility in this library. Tom made them put labels in the backs of books for their overdue files. So I do appreciate the library, and it's morphing into something new. So don't let technology influence you. The truth of the matter is now technology is a vehicle for people to communicate and for people to share information. It's that knowledge sharing that's so vital to Winter Park. And that's what our library gives us the place for. I am 100% behind this library. And should that referendum fail, I will be your greatest advocate in getting the necessary funding, whether through bonds or through reallocation. Thank you.
Now, I'd like to stay for another 30 minutes, but really our time is up. So we're going to go to closing statements. So we started down here for opening statements, so how about we start with you, Carolyn, for closing statements.
So what's in it for you? What's in it for you? I have the right experience. Director of Contracts for Lockheed, Financial Manager for DoD, on the Board of Directors for the Florida Major Cities. I understand municipal government. I've served as your city commissioner for 7 years. I've served on the Comprehensive Plan Task Force. I've served on planning and zoning. I understand land use. And land use impacts your quality of life more than anything else at all. I have the right education. I have a master's in systems management. I have a master's in guidance and counseling, which often comes in very handy. But I can tell you, I understand government. I've been working for you in Tallahassee with the League of Cities, representing 400 cities in Tallahassee on their advocacy team. I understand municipalities. I raised 3 of my 5 children in this town. I understand what it's like to be a mother. I understand what it's like to be a professional, and I understand what it's like to balance those two things. I'm at a point in my life where I have the time, and I have proven that I have the commitment to serve you. Winter Park has been termed by National Geographic Traveler a gracious town. A gracious town, an oasis in the midst of helter-skelter development in Central Florida. I will protect the character of this town. I am fearless. I will vote no when it's necessary, and yes when it's appropriate. I am the best candidate. There is no comparison. I understand Winter Park far beyond Park Avenue. And I hope that on March 15th, you will agree. Thank you.
I'm going to give up here, sorry. You know, from talking to people, I actually decided to run because I had many city leaders and people in our community ask me to run. And they had asked me for a couple years. Because I get things done. I'm not much of a talker, I'm a doer. I'm the person behind the scenes that can collaborate with others, that will listen to all sides. Left side, right side, middle. I think that's what's important, and that's what I bring to the table. You know, going back to my parents, you know, leave things better than you found them. That's engraved in everything that I do, and that's what I want to do for our community and continue to do for the people of Winter Park. I ask for your support. I would love your vote on March 15th, or if you have your absentee ballot, even before that. You know, but also, again, you know, elected leaders, they have a responsibility to the city that they represent, to the people in it, to the businesses in it. And I take that responsibility very seriously, and I hope that you agree that I'm the best candidate. Thank you.
Wish I had more than 2 minutes. My wife Fran tells me I'm a crusader, and she threatens to buy me a helmet and a shield. But she draws the line at a horse that tells me that I can have all the cars I want. I think that we've engaged in some regulatory overreach in Winter Park, and that's what I said at the beginning, that I think there's a better way to govern. I've tried to point out some of those policy differences between myself and my opponent that I disagree with, that I think are overbearing on all of us as citizens and residents. I trust you, the citizens, to make the best decisions for your home and your family. My priority is to embrace the interests of each Winter Park resident, not to impose the desires or values or tastes of any one Winter Park special interest group on you. It is your energy and effort that makes Winter Park great. As your commissioner, I will fight attempts to selectively and unfairly impose on you, and I will support your efforts to raise your families and live your lives in privacy with the assurance your local government is on your side. On the details, you can count on me to embrace true and voluntary historic preservation, to maintain the most effective police and fire rescue departments, to support equal service levels in every neighborhood in Winter Park, to prevent out-of-scale redevelopment, to stay the course on the city's electric undergrounding, to replenish and manage our street tree canopy in every neighborhood, and as a former vice president and chief financial officer of a Johnson & Johnson operating company with over 40 years of management, financial, and investment experience, I will insist upon disciplined and professional city planning and budgeting and fiscal management. I have pursued a commitment to better government and a better Winter Park for the past 10 years as an involved citizen and volunteer. And you can count on me to do the same as your commissioner. There is a better way to govern in Winter Park, and that's founded in trusting you, not in telling you what to do. You can trust me to protect the character of Winter Park, to protect your person and property, and to protect your interests as a resident and homeowner. I ask for your support and for your vote on March 15th.
You know, it's been said that it takes courage to stand up to your adversaries, but that it takes even more courage to stand up to your friends. And over the last 6 years, I've had to do that. In their endorsement of me, the Observer noted that it's no secret that I've been the swing vote on many important issues in the city. And that's because I do not represent any ideology or any one group, but all 28,000 citizens in the city of Winter Park. Because of that, over the past 6 years, I've been the one commissioner that's been invited to both sides of the table because of their trust in me when important issues have been discussed in the city and important decisions have had to be made. I want to keep that going for you. I want to keep working for you as the citizens of Winter Park. And as my sign said, and as the endorsement in the Observer said the other day, let's keep Tom on March 15th. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you.